I thought my life was perfect. I had a stable job, a girlfriend I loved more than anything, and a best friend I trusted like a brother. That illusion shattered the moment I opened the door that night. Elena? I called softly, expecting her to greet me with that smile that used to make my heart race. Mark, her voice caught in my chest, sharp and panicked. I froze. My mind refused to process what I was seeing. Mark, my best friend, was leaning over her on the couch, his hands where they had no right to be. What is this? My voice cracked, barely louder than a whisper. Elena jumped up, smoothing her hair. I can explain. Mark laughed nervously. It's not what it looks like, man. I swear. Don't. Just don't. I couldn't speak. My chest ached. My legs felt like lead. I trusted you, both of you. Elena's eyes shimmered with fake guilt. I didn't mean. You didn't mean. I echoed, rage cutting through the disbelief. You didn't mean to betray me. To destroy everything we had. Mark stepped forward. Come on, I can explain. It was a mistake. A mistake. My voice rose. A mistake is spilling coffee. A mistake isn't betraying the person who trusted you the most. Elena flinched. I love you, but, her voice trailed. You love me. I laughed bitterly. You loved me. Do you even know what that word means? Mark held up his hands. I didn't want it to happen, okay? We didn't plan it. Oh, of course. Nothing planned. Just sneak around behind my back. That's normal friendship, right? I spat. Elena's tears started, but I didn't care. Why him? Why my best friend? It just happened, Mark stammered. Enough. I slammed my hand against the wall. My fists were shaking, my vision blurred with anger and grief. I can't even look at either of you right now. Elena reached for me. Please, don't leave like this. I shook my head violently. I have to. I can't stay here and watch my world crumble. I trusted you. I loved you both. And you, I pointed at Mark. You broke that trust in the worst way possible. Mark opened his mouth, but I didn't let him finish. Save it. Just save it. I turned and ran, my shoes slapping against the hardwood floor. My chest heaved. I felt hollow, like someone had ripped out a piece of me I would never get back. I could still hear Elena's voice calling my name, begging, pleading. I didn't stop. Outside, the night was cold, biting through my jacket. I hugged myself, trying to contain the storm inside. Every step felt heavier than the last. Every thought was consumed by one word, betrayal. I can't stay here, I whispered to no one. Not like this. Not ever again. I pulled out my phone. Mark's name flashed on the screen, Elena's too. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not tonight. Not ever. I'll leave, I muttered to the empty street. I'll disappear. And when I come back, my teeth clenched. They'll regret everything. The fire of revenge sparked within me, hot and unforgiving. Pain, yes, but also clarity. I would leave this town, leave them, and grow stronger. One day, they would see me, not the broken boy they betrayed, but someone untouchable, someone they could never humiliate again. I took a deep breath, stepped into the shadows, and walked away from the life I thought I had. The night swallowed me, but it couldn't swallow my resolve. I left my hometown under the cover of night, my suitcase light, my heart heavier than ever. Every corner I passed reminded me of them, Elena's smile, Mark's laughter. I can't believe I trusted them, I muttered aloud, kicking a loose stone down the street. I gave them everything. A voice startled me. Hey, kid. You look lost. I looked up. An older man, dressed simply, leaning on a cane, studying me with sharp eyes. I'm fine, I mumbled, but the words sounded hollow even to me. You don't look fine. Name's Harris. You new in town? Yes. I just arrived. My throat was dry, my voice brittle. Harris nodded, like he already knew my story. Don't wander aimlessly. Nights like this are dangerous for someone alone. I swallowed, not knowing if I wanted company. I just needed to leave. Leave what? His tone wasn't prying, it was patient, calm. My life, everything. People I trusted, my job, my girlfriend. I paused, fists clenched. They betrayed me. Harris sighed. Ah. I see. Trust broken. Happens to many, kid. But trust me, you'll learn what you're really made of. I stared at him. How? Start from the bottom. Work. Learn. Survive. Nobody owes you anything. I nodded, unsure if I wanted to hear more. The cold gnawed at me. Hunger followed. I realized I had no plan. No money saved. Just pain. I found a small diner the next morning. The owner looked at me like I had no shoes. You here to work or to eat? Work, I said automatically. I'll do anything. They laughed softly. Any experience? None. But I learned fast. The next few weeks were a blur of dishes, cleaning, carrying heavy crates. Every night, my muscles ached, but the ache reminded me I was alive. I could feel the anger at Elena and Mark burning, sharp, keeping me awake. One evening, while I mopped the floor, Harris appeared. You're working hard, I see. I froze. You, again. I told you, kid. I watch potential. You've got it. But raw potential dies without guidance. I paused. Why care? He smiled faintly. I see myself in you. Once, I was a young fool too, blinded by trust. You need more than strength, you need knowledge. I don't even know where to start, I admitted. Start by paying attention. Learn how money moves, how people think, how to survive without depending on anyone. I'll teach you if you want. I want, I said immediately. Something in his calm presence felt like the first anchor I'd had in weeks. Over the next months, Harris guided me. We'd sit in the diner after hours. If you invest here, it will grow there, he explained, showing charts and simple numbers. Trust your instincts, but verify everything. I nodded, scribbling in a worn notebook. This could work. I could. Focus, he interrupted, smiling. One step at a time. Patience builds power. Rage will fade, but knowledge lasts. Each night, I lay on the cheap mattress I rented, bitter thoughts of Elena and Mark swirling. You think I'll forgive you? I whispered to the ceiling. You think I'll forget? I clenched my fists. The fire of revenge never left, but Harris's lessons made it sharper, more controlled. I'll make you regret underestimating me, I murmured. Not by hurting myself, but by becoming untouchable. Days became weeks. I learned to manage small savings, negotiate with stubborn clients, survive in a city that didn't care if I lived or died. The hunger, the exhaustion, the cold nights, they weren't fun, but they were shaping me. I felt my heart hardening, my mind sharpening. One evening, Harris looked at me across the table. You've changed, kid. You're not the same boy who ran out of his hometown. That anger of yours, learn to use it, not let it consume you. I nodded, understanding. I'm ready. I'll get stronger. I'll make sure they remember me, not as the fool they betrayed, but as someone who can't be broken. And with that, I knew the path wasn't easy, but it was mine. I would survive. I would rise. And one day, I would return. "Morning, Mr. Harris," I said, walking into the office, the familiar scent of coffee and paper grounding me. "Morning, kid. You look sharper today," he replied, handing me a folder. "Sophia will see you now. Don't waste this chance." I nodded, though anxiety gripped me. Meeting Sophia was a step into uncharted waters. "Mr. Stone," a smooth voice called. I turned. A woman in a crisp suit, sharp eyes, and an aura that demanded attention stood before me. "I'm Sophia." "Hello, Sophia." "Pleasure," I said, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm, deliberate. "Cut the pleasantries. Let's get to business," she said. "You want to succeed, right?" "Yes. I do. More than anything," I admitted. She smirked. "Good. Then listen carefully. Negotiation isn't about charm, it's about leverage, patience, and reading people." I leaned forward. "Teach me." Her eyes gleamed. "All right. Scenario, I'm offering you a contract. You want the best terms. How do you approach it?" I try to understand their needs first." I ventured. "Exactly. But don't stop there. Find their weakness. Every person has one. Exploit it professionally, of course." I frowned. "Exploit, ethically?" "Ethically, yes. Win-win situations can mask your real advantage. The stronger you become, the more control you have." I scribbled notes furiously. "I understand. But," my voice faltered. "Sometimes I feel I want to use my power to get back at those who hurt me." Sophia leaned back, studying me. "Ah. The old fire of revenge. Dangerous if unchecked. Ambition is stronger when personal vendettas aren't the fuel. Focus on your growth first. Revenge will follow naturally if it must." I can do that," I muttered. Deep down, I knew she was right. I couldn't rise if I was burning from inside. Weeks turned into months. I worked tirelessly, learning to pitch, negotiate, and invest. Sophia's lessons were relentless. "Your presentation was sloppy," she said one evening. "Again. What's wrong with you?" I rushed it," I admitted, cheeks burning. "Rushing shows desperation. Desperation is weakness. We don't show weakness." "Yes, Sophia. I'll redo it." "You will. And next time, no mistakes." I stayed late, rewriting slides, rehearsing speeches. I could feel the transformation. My confidence grew, my mind sharpened, and slowly, my anger at Elena and Mark became a quiet ember, controlled, purposeful. "You're improving," Sophia noted one day. "But remember, wealth isn't just money. Influence is power. People obey those who understand them." I see that now," I said, swallowing my pride. "It's not just about making money, it's about knowing when to push, when to hold back." "Exactly," she said, smiling faintly. "And one day, you'll have both. The choice of how to use it will be yours." I nodded. Alone in my small office later that night, I whispered, "I'll make you notice me, Elena. But not today. Not yet. First. I'll become untouchable." I poured myself into every project, every negotiation. Each success, small or large, fueled me more than any anger could. I learned to anticipate moves, read subtle cues, and act with precision. "Mr. Stone," Sophia called one morning, "you're ready for your first solo venture. Don't fail." "I won't," I said, determination burning in my chest. "I'll prove myself, to the world, and to myself." Late nights were my companion. Sometimes, I'd catch myself thinking of Elena. You left me, but that's your weakness. I'll rise, and you'll see what you lost, I muttered quietly, my hands tightening into fists. Yet, as my wealth grew and my skills sharpened, I felt a subtle shift inside me. I wasn't just building a fortune, I was building myself. My self-worth, my resilience, my ability to face betrayal without crumbling. Remember, Sophia said one day, revenge is sweetest when it's patient. Don't rush. Let life create the perfect moment. I smiled faintly. I understand. And when the time comes, they won't recognize the man I've become. I could feel the fire inside me, tempered now with control and strategy. The boy who ran away in heartbreak was gone. In his place stood someone reborn, not just in wealth, but in ambition, focus, and resolve. I parked my car a few blocks away, letting the familiar streets of my hometown wash over me. Everything looked the same, yet different, smaller somehow. Feels strange to be back, I muttered under my breath, clutching the steering wheel tighter. From the corner of my eye, I saw Elena. She laughed, the sound sharp, almost forced, as she waved at a group of people. Mark was beside her, fumbling with his phone, looking tense. She's still playing the perfect girl, I whispered. And he, still clueless. I stayed hidden, observing. Elena's heels clicked too loudly on the pavement, her posture rigid. A friend approached her, whispering something, and I caught Elena rolling her eyes. Seriously? I said softly. You've lost your charm. That arrogance will catch up to you. Mark sighed loudly, rubbing his temple. I told you, Elena. I can't handle this right now. Elena turned, her voice dripping with irritation. Mark, if you can't manage, maybe you shouldn't even try. I leaned back against the wall, savoring the quiet satisfaction. They look perfect from the outside, but cracks are showing, I murmured. Patience, my friend. Patience. I remembered how it felt, walking beside them, trusting blindly. How naive I was, I said quietly, shaking my head. But I've changed. I have to stay patient. Timing is everything. Elena waved at someone else, laughing, but her smile faltered when no one responded immediately. Mark tried to cover her embarrassment with a joke, but his tone was forced. You're failing, Mark, I whispered. Just like I predicted. They argued quietly, too far for most to hear, but I caught fragments. I can't keep bailing you out. Mark snapped. You never cared before, why start now? Elena shot back. I smiled. Finally seeing their true colors. Karma has a slow hand, but it always lands. Walking down the street, I ducked into a cafe window to watch them further. Elena fiddled with her hair, clearly anxious. Something's bothering her. Not everything is perfect, I said to myself. Mark checked his wallet and cursed under his breath. Why does money always slip through my fingers? Poor decisions catch up fast, I murmured. You can't hide from life forever, Mark. The memory of my heartbreak hit me suddenly. I almost let anger consume me back then, I admitted. But now. I'm learning. Revenge isn't just about showing power, it's about knowing the right moment. I sipped my coffee slowly, watching as Elena's friends started distancing themselves. One whispered to another, pointing at her. Her expression faltered, the confidence I remembered now fragile. Mark muttered something to her about unpaid bills. She laughed, but it sounded hollow. Even he's struggling, I noted quietly. Funny, the world balances itself out eventually. A pang of sadness struck me. And yet, part of me misses the old days, I whispered. The simplicity, before betrayal. But no. I can't dwell on that. I have a plan. Mark finally looked at Elena, voice low. Maybe we need help, seriously. Elena waved him off. I can manage. Always have. I shook my head, smiling slightly. You think you can control everything, Elena. You've forgotten humility. Hours passed as I lingered in shadows, observing without being seen. Every laugh that faltered, every sigh that escaped, felt like a victory I hadn't even earned yet. Patience, I reminded myself again. When the time is right, they will realize what they lost. Not just power, but trust, loyalty, and respect. And I'll be ready. As I walked away, blending into the crowd, a quiet satisfaction lingered in my chest. Revenge wasn't immediate. It wasn't loud. It was subtle, deliberate, and deadly effective. I'm back, I whispered. And this time, they won't know it until it's too late. I walked into the cafe, scanning the crowd. So many familiar faces, yet they didn't know who I had become. Not yet. Over here. Lydia waved, a small smile on her face. Her eyes always held that quiet admiration. Lydia, I said softly, lowering my voice. It's been a while. She leaned closer, whispering, You've changed. I can tell. But your eyes, still the same. I smirked. I've learned a few things. Time teaches you well. Lydia laughed quietly. I've missed this, us talking without anyone else around. Good, I said. I need your help. I'm not here for nostalgia. I want to see things, clearly. She nodded, understanding. Tell me what you need. I lowered my voice even further. Elena hasn't changed. She's arrogant, reckless. Mark, still trying to look successful. I want to test them. Find out if they notice me, or if they've forgotten completely. Lydia's eyes sparkled. Sounds dangerous. Not dangerous. Strategic, I corrected her. I need info. How she acts, who she trusts, who she ignores. Can you help me? Of course. You know I'll always be on your side, she said, her voice full of sincerity. We spent hours catching up while subtly discussing mutual acquaintances. Every detail Lydia offered felt like a piece of a puzzle. Mark borrowed money from the wrong people again, Lydia whispered. He's trying to act confident, but everyone sees through it. Exactly what I thought, I murmured. And Elena? She's still playing the queen. The problem is, she's alienating her friends. Some are already whispering about her behavior. I leaned back, savoring the information. Perfect. Now, subtlety is key. Let me see how they react when they think someone new is influencing their circle. Lydia grinned. I can arrange that. A small gathering, casual. No one will suspect you're back. Good. Watch their expressions closely. Elena's pride, it will betray her sooner than she expects, I said, sipping my coffee. Over the next few days, Lydia and I met in quiet places. Every conversation, every detail she brought to me, I analyzed. She was bragging about a new contract today, Lydia said, lowering her voice. Mark was nervous. You should have seen him trying to keep up appearances. Classic, I whispered. Pride before the fall. They haven't changed at all. I like it. Lydia tilted her head. Do you ever think about just confronting them? Showing them who you've become? I shook my head. Patience. Revenge isn't about revealing myself yet. It's about positioning. Timing is everything. I want to make sure Elena feels the tension, senses that something's off, without knowing why. Her eyes softened. You've really changed, haven't you? Not just richer, but colder. I smiled faintly. Not cold. Calculated. I've learned the value of control. And right now, control is everything. Later that evening, Lydia texted me. They were at the gala tonight. Elena's arrogance is showing. Mark can barely smile without looking desperate. Perfect time to let whispers spread. I typed back, good. Keep observing. I want every detail. Every misstep, every proud word. Make note of it all. We'll use it. Her reply came quickly. Understood. I'll be your eyes. I closed my phone, leaning back in my chair. One step at a time, I whispered. They think their lives are perfect. Soon, they'll see, perfection is fragile. And I'll be the one who shows them how fragile it really is. As I left the cafe, the night air sharp against my skin, I felt that old fire, the one that had pushed me through betrayal, through poverty, through years of rebuilding. This fire wasn't anger anymore. It was precision. It was patience. It was strategy. And most importantly, it was unstoppable. I'm back, I said quietly to myself. And this time, I control the game. I arrived at the charity auction, blending into the crowd under my new identity. I could feel Elena before I even saw her, her presence always radiated arrogance. Mark, make sure they see us winning something, Elena whispered, flicking her hair back. I've got it, he mumbled, nervously adjusting his tie. I watched from across the room, a glass of champagne in hand. Do they even know I'm here? I muttered under my breath. Lydia, quietly beside me, chuckled. Not yet. But watch closely. You'll see cracks tonight. I smiled faintly. Patience. Let the stage set itself. Minutes later, Elena leaned over Mark. We can't let them outshine us. People need to know we're in control. Of course, Elena, he said, voice tense. I moved closer, pretending to inspect a painting, but my ears caught every word. Control, funny word, isn't it? I whispered to Lydia. Especially when it's fragile, she replied. Soon, a business rival approached Mark with a proposal. I could see his eyes widen, the overconfidence draining instantly. You're sure this will work? Mark asked, forcing a smile. Yes. But your execution is critical, the rival said, hands folded, smirking. I leaned back slightly, savoring the moment. Oh, this is going to be good, I whispered. Elena glanced nervously at Mark. Everything okay? Mark hesitated. I think we need to consider their terms carefully. Carefully? Or are you scared? Elena snapped, a tremor betraying her facade. Lydia nudged me. See? Small cracks. I nodded, letting them fumble without interfering. Karma has a way of speaking, I murmured. Later, a friend of Elena's approached, whispering something that made her flush red. I couldn't hear the exact words, but the humiliation was evident. Why would she say that? Elena hissed. Maybe she's tired of your charm. Mark suggested weakly. I smirked. Oh, the sweet taste of doubt, I whispered to Lydia. Elena's eyes darted around the room, searching for validation. She found none. Mark, why isn't anyone noticing us? People are distracted, he muttered. I shook my head subtly, amused by their desperation. Distraction, yes, but the cause is karma, I whispered. By the end of the night, Mark's rival had exposed his incompetence during a negotiation. I watched silently as Mark's confidence crumbled. You promised. Mark snapped at the rival. I promised you the truth. You failed, the rival replied calmly. Elena paled. Mark, what happened? He couldn't answer. I could see her arrogance wavering for the first time in years. Lydia leaned closer. This is just the beginning. They're learning lessons you've long since mastered. Lessons, and yet, I paused, a pang in my chest. Satisfaction, yes, but something else. Is this all I've become? someone who waits for their enemies to fail. Lydia's hand brushed mine. Even justice needs a face. You're still you. Don't lose sight. I nodded, though doubt lingered. I hope I don't. I hope I still remember what it means to live, not just to watch and wait. Elena finally confronted me indirectly through mutual friends, sensing a presence she couldn't identify. I don't understand, she whispered to one of her friends. It feels like someone is, watching, always watching. Mark shook his head, sweating. We're just imagining it. Probably nerves from tonight's chaos. I sipped my drink, hidden in plain sight. Not nerves. Awareness, I muttered. The night ended with whispers following Elena and Mark as they left. Friends exchanged knowing looks, subtle glances carrying messages they didn't dare speak aloud. They'll talk. That's how it starts, Lydia said. Yes, I agreed. And I'll remain, invisible, until the moment they least expect it. Walking away, I felt a twinge of guilt amidst the thrill. Am I doing this for justice, or for revenge alone? I asked myself. Lydia's voice followed softly. Sometimes the line is thin. But don't lose your heart while plotting their fall. I clenched my fists, determination flooding me again. I won't. But they need to feel it, all the consequences of arrogance, lies, and betrayal. They need to understand, finally, that nothing is without cost. The city lights blurred as I left, a silent observer orchestrating the ripples of karma, ensuring each misstep they took would be remembered. And yet, I vowed, quietly, that I would not lose myself in the process. I stepped into the grand ballroom, the chandeliers casting a glow over the elegantly dressed crowd. I felt every eye brushing past me, yet I didn't seek recognition, at least, not yet. My target was at the far end, laughing with familiar faces. Elena. Mark. Mark, do you see him? Elena whispered, her voice carrying that same clipped confidence. Who? He stammered, glancing around nervously. I raised a glass in their direction, a faint smile on my lips. Enjoying the evening, Elena? I asked casually, letting my voice carry. She froze, mid-laugh. I don't know who you are. Excuse me. Don't play games, I said, stepping closer. It's me. You know exactly who I am. Mark's face drained of color. And no, that can't be. Oh, it's me, I continued, my tone calm but firm. The one you left, the one you betrayed. I suppose you didn't expect me back, like this. Elena's hand trembled as she adjusted her necklace. I don't know what you mean. You're different. I've changed, I admitted, letting my eyes meet hers. Years of learning, of surviving, and yes, gaining what you so easily dismissed. Wealth, influence, and understanding. You should have considered what you were losing. Mark stuttered, Elena, it was just a mistake. Just a mistake. I echoed. You think that excuses years of betrayal? You thought I'd never return, never rise beyond your petty games. But here I am. Witnessing your cracks for everyone to see. Elena's lips pressed into a thin line. I still care about you. We can. Don't, I interrupted, voice steady. Spare me the lies. You care about appearances, about control. Not loyalty, not honesty. A few whispers traveled through the crowd. I ignored them. This was about them seeing the truth, not me. You've changed, Elena said, a slight quiver in her voice betraying her composure. Maybe I misjudged everything. You misjudged everything, I said firmly. And now, you feel it. The consequences of arrogance and deceit. Mark looked down, ashamed. I didn't mean for any of this. I didn't think. You didn't think. I repeated, shaking my head slowly. You betrayed me. You took what was mine, and you never considered the cost. Not to me, not to yourself. And now everyone can see it. Elena's eyes darted toward our mutual friends, searching for an ally. He's exaggerating. I smiled faintly. Am I exaggerating? Or are you realizing that manipulation can only hold for so long? She faltered, and I noticed the subtle glance at her closest friend, who avoided eye contact. Her power over perception was failing. Mark, I said, leaning slightly closer, look at yourself. Can you even meet their eyes? You chose convenience over friendship, lies over loyalty. And now, I paused, letting the weight settle. Now, it's public. His shoulders slumped. I didn't think it would matter. I thought, we could just move on. Move on. I laughed softly, a bitter edge cutting through. Do you even understand what trust means? Or did you only care about appearances and comfort? Elena's breath hitched, and I saw a panic ripple across her features. You'll speak only the truth, I said, voice low and commanding. No lies, no manipulations. Tell them who you really are. Mark's voice cracked. I betrayed him. I betrayed my best friend. I let her, Elena, lead me into selfishness. Gasps spread through the room. Elena's facade faltered completely. I didn't know, I held up a hand. Stop. Don't twist this. Your excuses won't shield you anymore. You wanted to play, but the board is cleared. The truth is in full view. For a moment, silence hung heavy. I felt a mix of satisfaction and something else, a pang of sadness. This confrontation, this revelation, did not erase the years of heartbreak, the nights of despair. I realized revenge could expose lies, but it could not heal me entirely. Elena's voice finally came out as a whisper, broken. I was wrong. I never should have. You see it now, I said softly, almost to myself. The weight of your choices. And still, I wonder, do I keep justice cold and silent, or do I let mercy guide me? Mark looked up, tears welling. I understand now. I'm sorry. I nodded, taking a deep breath. Apologies are words. Actions are what matter. And actions have already been set in motion. The crowd, now aware of the tension, shifted uncomfortably. Elena avoided my gaze. Mark trembled beside her. I felt vindication, yes, but the bitterness lingered, a reminder that pain isn't erased by exposure alone. Lydia, standing quietly behind me, whispered, "You handled it well." I handled the truth, I corrected gently. Not them. The truth always has a life of its own. As I walked away, the whispers followed, but I didn't glance back. Elena's arrogance had crumbled, Mark's cowardice was revealed, and I, though victorious, felt the hollow echo of what I had lost. Revenge had a taste, sharp and clear. But the emptiness alongside it reminded me that no confrontation, no public humiliation, could restore the years of trust and love that had been stolen. And yet, I knew this was necessary. Not for satisfaction alone, but for closure. For the silent justice that only time and revelation could grant. I stepped into the night, letting the city lights blur behind me, a mixture of triumph and sorrow guiding each stride. I stood by the balcony, the city lights flickering below, and let out a slow breath. Everything I had built, the wealth, the influence, the careful orchestration of my return, was in place. But tonight, I didn't feel the need to display it. Revenge had been served simply by letting the truth reveal itself. Lydia approached quietly, holding 2 glasses of wine. "You're not celebrating?" she asked softly. "I don't need to," I replied, accepting the glass. "I've done what I needed to do. Justice, it doesn't have to be flashy. She nodded. And Elena? Mark? They'll feel it, I said, watching the street below. The social circles, their peers, they'll understand without me having to shove it in their faces. Lydia smiled faintly. You've changed. The old you might have wanted a scene, some dramatic moment of humiliation. I did, I admitted, swirling the wine. But I realized that's not victory. True power, true closure, comes from letting go of the need to control their pain. Do you regret what happened? She asked, a hint of concern in her eyes. No, I said firmly. Every betrayal, every night of struggle, every lesson I learned, it shaped me. But I don't need to carry hatred anymore. Not to feel whole. I thought of Elena, her smugness cracking the moment she realized I had returned a different man. She'll learn the cost of her choices, I murmured. Do you think she'll change? Lydia asked. I doubt it, I replied. People like her rarely do. But consequences, they're unavoidable. Mark's failures in business, her isolation socially, they'll teach her what I could never make her understand. A week later, I met with an old colleague, Jonathan, over coffee. You've really transformed, he said, eyes wide. It's inspiring. Thanks, I said. I've had a lot of time to rethink priorities. Success isn't just wealth, it's respect, it's self-reliance, and it's choosing who deserves my energy. Jonathan leaned back, curious. What about them? Elena and Mark. They'll adjust, I said, a small smile forming. But my life, it's no longer about them. I focus on friends who matter, opportunities that challenge me, and the satisfaction of knowing I'm the architect of my destiny. Later that evening, I walked past the familiar streets, feeling the ghost of old wounds lingering. A few neighbors nodded politely. Some whispered. I caught snippets, rumors of Mark's failing ventures, Elena's strained relationships, but I didn't linger. I had no need for gossip or schadenfreude. At Lydia's insistence, we visited the charity where we volunteered years ago. It's good to give back, she said. You deserve some peace. I don't seek peace, I replied. I seek purpose. And purpose isn't revenge, it's living fully, honestly, without letting betrayal define me. We spoke with the staff, shared stories, laughed quietly. For the first time in years, I felt light. The anger that had fueled my every move, the desire to prove myself, the hunger for revenge, it was no longer necessary. A few days later, I received a message from a mutual acquaintance. Elena asked if you'd consider meeting to reconcile, she says she regrets everything. I stared at the screen, thinking back on all the nights I'd cried, all the schemes I'd endured, all the strength I'd built. I typed a short reply, I've moved on. Lydia peeked over my shoulder. No curiosity. Curiosity is for the past, I said softly. I'm not revisiting pain that has no place in my present. My happiness isn't in their repentance, it's in my freedom. Weeks passed. I nurtured friendships, grew my ventures, and felt a quiet contentment. I helped others where I could, but I never allowed the shadow of betrayal to darken my life again. One afternoon, while reviewing plans for a new project, Lydia said, "You've come so far. I'm proud of you." I looked up, meeting her gaze. I've come far because I chose myself. Because I refuse to be defined by betrayal. That's the real victory. Later, I walked past the cafe where Elena and Mark once sat, watching them from a distance. She glanced up, recognizing me, but her confident mask faltered. Mark shifted nervously beside her. I didn't approach. I didn't need to. The lesson had been learned without my intervention. The world had its ways of balancing itself. And I finally had what I had sought for years, peace, dignity, and the knowledge that my life was mine to shape. Revenge had been sweet, but freedom was sweeter. I raised a hand in a silent farewell to the past and walked on, leaving the shadows behind me. The past no longer controlled me. The pain no longer dictated my choices. I had reclaimed myself, and in doing so, discovered that true happiness is born not from the downfall of others, but from the rise of one's own spirit. I walked into the cafe, spotting Sophia at our usual corner table, her laptop open, eyes scanning numbers and charts as usual. "Sophia," I greeted, sliding into the chair across from her. She looked up, eyebrows raised. "Back already? Or is this a social visit?" "Maybe both," I said, smiling faintly. "I wanted to catch up, and talk about some ideas I've been exploring." Sophia closed her laptop with a snap. "Ideas? You've been busy." "I have," I admitted. "But busy isn't everything. I want to start helping others, mentoring, teaching them what I've learned. Mr. Harris did it for me, and I want to pay it forward." Her gaze softened. "That's surprisingly selfless of you." "I learned," I said quietly, "that vengeance only satisfies for a moment. Real growth comes from creating, not destroying." Sophia tilted her head. "You've changed. I can see it. Less anger, more focus." "Less anger, yes. But more clarity," I corrected. "I'm done carrying the weight of betrayal. I can finally choose the people and paths I want." At that moment, Lydia appeared, carrying a stack of papers. "There you are," she said, sliding into the booth beside me. "I've been trying to reach you for days." "You've been busy helping people, I see," I teased. She laughed softly. "And making sure you don't disappear from the world entirely. Someone has to keep you grounded." I smiled. "Good. I need that." Sophia leaned back, watching us. "You're really serious about this mentoring thing?" "Yes," I said. "I want to guide others before they make mistakes I did. I want to teach them resilience, self-respect, and how to handle betrayal without letting it define them." Lydia's eyes lit up. "And you're not carrying old grudges anymore?" "No," I said firmly. "Elena, Mark, they're part of my past, not my present. I've learned the lessons, and now it's time to focus on what matters: growth, loyalty, and trust." Sophia smirked. "Sounds like you've finally stopped letting the past control your emotions." "I have," I agreed. "And I'm ready for new beginnings, personal, professional, maybe even romantic." Lydia shifted, smiling nervously. "Maybe that includes someone you've known for years?" I glanced at her, heart warming at the thought. "Maybe. Time will tell. But for now, I'm learning to balance ambition with care, and independence with connection." Sophia's expression softened. "You've come a long way. I'm impressed." "And grateful," I said. "For both of you. For guidance, for friendship, for believing in me when I couldn't see my own potential." Lydia reached across the table, squeezing my hand. "And I'll keep doing it. You're worth it." I felt a genuine smile spread across my face. I think I'm finally ready to embrace life fully. No more shadows from the past, no more bitterness. Just clarity and purpose. Sophia leaned forward. "Then let's start. Share your knowledge, build your projects, and help those who need it. You'll see, teaching others will teach you more than any revenge ever could." "I believe it," I said, raising my cup. "To new beginnings." Lydia and Sophia echoed, "To new beginnings." I glanced out the window at the city buzzing below. For the first time in years, I felt peace. The past had shaped me, but it no longer chained me. I had friends, mentors, and the chance to guide others. I had choice, freedom, and hope. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had myself, and that was enough.